Welcome to Off the Post, presented by Coverall Exteriors. And we have Anthony Mingione. And how are you?
Doing good, Russell. Solid job on that read.
Yeah, I'm my brain is programmed. We've been doing this show for so long. It's like
I gotta listen. Old dogs got to learn new tricks sometimes.
I have to rewire it. And we have Michael Jello, who's got old wiring himself.
No, I'm recording the show as we go, and so
he's
using the old wiring.
Yes, so I hear my brilliance twice. Good morning.
Oh, there you go. All right. First off, I just want to say I'm going to bring up the Islanders first because I was at the Brooklyn Memorial Cup. For Alzheimer's research.
We're going geographic here, everybody. First, we had to see wherever Russ has been. That's where we're starting.
Yeah, we got clobbered, but there's still a week where people can give, and it's a great cause. Bud Harrelson's wife was there. She got the award from Andrew Gross. That was really nice. I was a big Bud Harrelson fan. I told her so. And
I actually ask one thing: did they designate you for assignment after that game?
No. I'm still good in the field. I didn't get a hit that game, but I didn't.
I hope Bud Harrelson's wife beat up Pete Rose's son or something.
Oh, that's all.
My big thing though was my second at bat. There was a guy on first, and I was trying to go up the middle because I saw there was a lot of gap up the middle, and I hit it to the pitcher, and they're like, double him up, and I just, for whatever reason, and I get a runner once I'm on base. I get a runner. I did not get doubled up. I was like, that's not going to happen.
Right. I don't care if I tear both ACLs.
Exactly. That could have been the last run of my career. And
he was going to Monty Python his way to first base.
Russ's inner Vince Coleman showed up.
But there was a lot of discussion about the New York hockey teams.
Yes, of course.
I got interviewed by a Stan Fischler intern, Salon, nice guy. That'll probably be up later today. So that was about the Rangers. But we talked about the Islanders too. Stefan Rosner leads off. So for the team, and he's a big Islander reporter. Andrew Gross is the biggest Islander reporter. So they're both on my team. So I talked about Maxim Siplikov with those guys. And because I thought that was a really good signing by the Islanders. They got him at 2.35. Both of them think that, he's a third liner for them, which is fine. And, probably maybe he gets some power play time. My feeling was he was just sort of learning the league last year. And I think he'll play better for a while this year. And so I think, he could get 18 to 20 goals. And my feeling is, guys, if you can get a close to 20 goal guy in this league for 2.35, you got to do it.
Well, let me just start because I just wrote about this because he was, everybody as usual in arbitration is settling early. That just goes without saying. But I think the reason that they brought him back, and not that I don't think they were going to, but the reason they really wanted to bring him back is because they brought in Shabanov and they wanted the two Russians there. I don't know if they're going to play on the same line, but it's always easier to have somebody.
Yeah, sure.
And then they have Alexander Romanov as well, or Romanov.
It's pronounced Romanov, but
and Sorokin. So
Sorokin's there. There's enough of a.
Oh, they have a lot of guys.
Like I said, I mean, the landing spot for Shabanov. I mean, if he was going to land anywhere in terms of having that sort of, that environment.
Skills. I mean, I think he had 35 points. I think he had like 10 goals.
And 5 assists.
Yeah.
No, I like the signing. And again, if you're building a team, you have to have, somebody on the bottom six who's it can be a bit of an offensive threat. And also when you get injuries, to be able to insert him higher in the lineup. So to get him, I think at 2.3 is a good number, a good bridge. And again, if he shows out then, and you think he becomes something more, then if you're Matthew Darsh, you'll revisit this next summer possibly.
And here's 2 summers because
I'm sorry, 2 summers from now. 2 summers from now.
And here's the thing. I mean, and we realize the cap is going up, and you look at the 3 arbitration settlements. I have no problem with the Kakko one because Kakko played really well after he got traded to Seattle. Yep. That's a good bet. I think it was around 4. It was over 4.
Yeah.
Siplikov, I mean, he was making entry level. He signs a 2-year bridge, 2.3. That's not bad at all. If he jumps up and scores 15 to 20 goals, it's a really good contract.
Yeah.
The one I laugh at, and it's Kyle Davidson, I'm ready to sign. Sign me to a contract. You're paying Arvid Soderblom, I think it's 3. Okay, you've already got Spencer Knight, and there's another goalie there. Damn it, who's the other? They have another goaltender as well.
Yeah, I got to look.
Laurent Brossoit.
Right.
So now I don't know about his injury situation.
I think that's probably. I would. I mean, if you're the Blackhawks, you're trying to cover, and you want to. I know how this goes pretty much where anymore where you really you start to have goalies drop. You'd rather have a little bit of investment there.
But the point is, he's not a very good goalie, Anthony. That's
but he's, again, in this circumstance, they are in a spot here where they still, they're relatively where they're at, the Blackhawks. It's for a couple of years. And then beyond that, it's, to me, not, it's just covering while they're transitioning.
No, but that's true. But there's a cost for that. And I'm kind of with Mike on this in the sense that, with Sam Ursun, this is the same goalie. Like, this is the same guy.
I think there's some definite.
The numbers are almost identical.
Yeah, agreed. And again, team in front of them, not great.
Not great.
But again, you're still in the process of. My point is that you're still in the process of transitioning. As much as you want to say, hey, we're trying to compete, and you obviously
we're just not used to the cost being this for that.
No, but I think it's accounting for the cap going up. So they're just saying, hey, the cost of service now for a serviceable player has now risen.
It's like getting sticker shock on a car. I got sticker shock on my last car. So, and I thought I was getting a good deal, and I did get a good deal, but I still paid more than I wanted to. And it seems like that's what's happening here with goalies, especially.
Yeah, and and we're going to talk about the Sabres in a little bit, and
it's not high range goalies now because nobody's paying the big dollars. It's the lower range goalies now.
Well, I mean, everybody's
coming up.
Everybody wants a third goalie that they can either slip through waivers, like last year with the Leafs with Matt Murray. You could say, well, okay, that was just wasted money. No, you have a 2-time Stanley Cup winner who they got down to the Marlies, who played really well in the American Hockey League, and he was there when they needed him for a few games. Seattle, he's going to the same place. They've got Decord and they've got Grubauer, and if somebody gets injured, then you have a veteran goalie. Most teams out there are looking for that third goalie and bringing it to the Sabres. And like I said, we'll talk about other things with the Sabres in a little bit. They bring in Alex Lyon on a 2-year deal. They've got Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen signed for 4 more years. Devin Levi is a restricted free agent, and he can't get an offer sheet, and he doesn't have salary arbitration. And he looks at the situation here, and he's like, okay, where am I going to play? I'm going to play in Rochester another year. And am I pissed off about that? I mean, it may be good for your development, but the problem is he thought he was going to be in the NHL from the very outset, Russ.
Yeah.
And that's
the thought of everybody when they come out of college and they have a little control of their contract and they feel like the Sabres aren't that good, which, he'd be right to say that in private, and there's an opportunity. And so I feel like it's probably a little disappointing for him because he doesn't see anybody in front of him that's really better than him. That's what I think the issue is here. Now, he hasn't proven it himself, but you could look at UPL and say, well, I'm not worried about this guy. He's not really shown anything either.
Coming out of Northeastern, that's 7 games at the end of the season, the 2022-23 season, when they missed the playoffs by a point. He went 5-2 and he played really well. Then when the job was given to him, they started in the first 4 games. He went 1-3, and it was basically downhill from there, and he went to the minors in January. And really, he has not been back since. Now, he's played really great with Rochester.
Yeah. Really
good. But every time he's come up to the NHL, it's just been, okay, where's the guy that was the Mike Richter Award winner 2 years in a row? That hasn't translated to.
Not yet, but we know. But we also know with goaltenders, it takes, again, there's a jump. There just is. That being said, would I be at the point of the end of this season beginning to kind of question some things? If those auditions don't look better, then maybe they get to that point, but I still feel like there's still time.
And Anthony, I know somebody who covers Rochester, and they said they don't think he's a number one NHL goalie. They think he's smaller and a few other things.
Yeah, teams project that way. Yeah,
right. And the thing is, that won't be a problem for the Sabres because I don't believe he'll be waiver exempt after this year. So they'll have to keep him on the roster or trade him or do something because they won't have the luxury of sending him out to the American Hockey League.
So staying with goaltending, we know all about the Hockey Canada stuff. And, the biggest discussion that's come out of that is about Carter Hart. And, my feeling is right now these guys are not employed by anybody. They're not allowed to be employed by anybody. And we have to wait until anything happens from the league and the PA before anything. But what are your guys' thoughts on that?
I mean, for me, again, with Hart, and I know it's been a topic of conversation, understandably, here in Philadelphia. You look at the Flyers goaltending situation, I feel like, and I've said this before, the Flyers, whether or not they were sort of publicly saying this or not, they were prepping for eventually Hart to be away for some time. They knew that. All you needed to do was not hear what they said, but see what they did, especially when it came to the draft. When you literally in six successive rounds took Carson Bjarnason and then Evgeny Zhivaregin. And again, those are long-term bets, but you still took them where you took them. Yeah. So the Flyers have been preparing for we're preparing even before this all happened for a future without Carter Hart. That's my opinion. People could disagrey with it. The team that's fine. It's just I look at what was done. Again, what got out? What is obviously out there publicly? I mean, obviously the case is finished and everything at this point now. The Flyers are again in the circumstance. If you have it in your head that the Flyers should bring back Carter Hart, it's not going to happen. You just have to kind of Flyer fans are literally going to just have to kind of come to grips with that. And my whole thing is that he has also missed now. And again, my public position on what happened and everything is that the whole situation was a horrific situation, and for obviously for the victim involved. And people may say, "Well, she wasn't a victim." I don't. It was obviously a lot of bad stuff happened.
Right.
I just don't. He's just from a looking at perspective. He's going to be out of hockey potentially for now. What will basically be he missed all of last season. He's going to likely. I think in all likelihood, those guys are going to miss probably this season as well. You're looking at potentially because again, the league has to rule on it. You also, as a player, have to rebuild to get back to the. I don't care. You can say, "Oh, he's been in practice." I'm sure he's practicing everything. I said, "Where in a rink against some random person in this circumstance, or a friend who's shooting pucks on them or something." They're not going to be ready to play back in the NHL for a bit. So it's going to be a case where, and you never know, they may never get. He may.
Yeah, I mean that's always
know where things are. He may not be able to get it back. So taking the risk combined with the blowback you're going to hear if you do sign any of these guys, NHL teams are going to be predominantly risk averse in this circumstance, I think.
Well, I mean, first of all, the NHLPA did their usual boilerplate and came out and said, they've been found not guilty. They should get their careers back. Bettman is going to make some ruling. We don't know what it's going to be.
Bettman's statement, I'm going to say, by the way, I mean, we all saw the quote statement from him.
Yeah.
That was pretty that was strongly he's basically kind of firing a shot across the bow of NHL teams to say you need to
be careful here.
Be careful here.
This is, I mean, he's trying to a level of consistency here because when you basically put Joel Quenneville and Stan Bowman out on an island for 2 to 3 years, or, not even doing something or not doing something, but having guilty knowledge of something, then you have to maintain a level of consistency. But the only, Jason Gregor came out because all the rumor was, okay, well,
we all put it together. It was Hart and Edmonton. He's from Sherwood Park, all that.
Right. But and he's saying there's no interest there, which for a team that needs a goalie, you would think. I have a feeling because remember, a guy like, and I'm not comparing the situations, but Jake Virtanen never played in the NHL after he had his contract terminated by Vancouver. He went over to the KHL. coincidentally, all these players, their contracts expired either by restricted free agents or unrestricted. They weren't qualified. It wasn't like contracts.
Yeah, Flyers flat out could have done a
Oh, yeah,
qualifying offer on Hart. That is where everybody kind of has to realize that the Flyers had any intention of trying to keep Hart. They were, again, it's what they did.
Right. I get the feeling that, and maybe like Russ was saying, these guys, and you were saying as well, that these guys might not be ready just to jump right back in. They may have to go to the KHL or Germany or someplace like that and play for a year or two to get sort of back in the swing of things.
And not just play for a year. They would have to be like really noticeable, like to the point where teams are like, the performance is such that we have to bring, if they go over there and they're very sort of lukewarm, they're going to be, and even then, again, I just feel like, there's going to be a case, especially, and again, I always go with goaltenders. Everything is mindset and where you're at.
I still think there's a team, though, that's going to say, listen.
I think Hart is the most, I think if anybody is going to, for a team that will say that they will take a chance on one of the five,
right?
Hart is, with goaltending be where it's at,
there's
it's most likely.
There's a team that's going to say we could play him 5 preseason games and see if he's ready or not. They could do that,
but it won't. Again, it will not be this year, probably, and it maybe it's next year. A team that's desperate, they put him on like a 1-year contract to see what he can do, and it may be a 2-way. And again, he may be looking at a 1-year 2-way contract,
right?
Because they're going to want to play again. They're going to say, okay, if we're going to invest, we got to go. We got to see
what you got.
We got to see what you have first before we get back, and then you're losing. Again, you're getting to 3 years now almost.
Or maybe even sign him to an AHL deal so you don't have to deal with waivers. Although I don't know if you
I don't think any of those players are going to do that. Maybe, but
I think some of those guys will attempt to, but the question is whether or not the AHL teams are going to want to deal with it. Again, their business, again, as much as you worry about business at the NHL level.
No, it's true.
You get to lower levels and you're signing guys to deals, to those kind of deals. Those can have a very negative effect for business for those teams.
We know the stigma that is associated with situations like this in all sports, and how teams, they don't want the PR blowback. They don't want to deal with it. Eventually, talent outweighs that PR blowback. I think at a certain point, now these guys are all in their mid-20s. They have a lot left in their hockey careers. But
but they're not all going to play, Mike. They're not all good enough to play anymore.
No.
There's that too.
Yes.
So in short, just to kind of put a bow on this thing, again, from a Flyers perspective, you move on. It's not going to happen. I don't see it happening, even if there's people. Will I say there's good? Will there be other discussions? Probably, right? Of course, there's going to be internal conversations that occur. It's just by very nature of the sport. But at the end of the day, that whoever's writing the checks at the very top and has to look at the total business model of the whole thing, it depends on how much they feel before they're going to ever sign off on it.
So let's switch over to Leaf talk. We hear that they still want to do some things. Mm-hmm. I mean, I understand why. I'm looking at their starting lineup, and it ain't, it's not what it used to be. Now, the defense, hold on, Mike. You get your chance. I saw your lips were almost moving. The defense, you could say, has been better over the years, and it is. Mm-hmm. The offense is compromised. It is. Go ahead, Mike.
Okay. Is the offense as good as it has been the last few years? No, because they just had a 102-point winger walk out the door. Understandable. I think they're a different team and maybe would be a better team when it counts, meaning the postseason. But I think the rubber stamp of them being a top 3 in the Atlantic, I mean, you've got Ottawa coming, you've got Detroit coming. I don't think Buffalo and, Montreal could push for one of the top 3 spots. It's Boston. I think Boston and Detroit are probably, lower down in the division, even though, Steve Yzerman is making talk about them making the playoffs. But No, I think that there are still moves that Brad Treliving wants to make. I think the first domino is the Nick Robertson arbitration hearing that's coming up next week, to find out what the award is, whether, or they reach a settlement. Once they do that, there's some chatter about them trading Nick Robertson. I find it hard to believe because he's 3 years retainable. This is a guy who can score goals, and if offense is a consideration, like I wrote a couple days ago for Hockey Hot Stove, give a guy a chance higher in the lineup. Play him with Tavares, play him with Matthews, see what he can do. And if it doesn't work out, then you trade him and you trade him someplace else.
I'm with you on this for one reason too. Looking at their lineup, they need more speed. They're bigger and slower than they used to be too on offense.
Right. But the move, I think everything, I said, they may have to be patient in terms of the moves that they want to make. Roslovic is still out there. Apparently Vancouver is interested in him, so they may have some competition for him. There are reports out there that he wants 2 years at over $3 million. He can play center, but he can play wing too. So if it gets to be an outpriced situation, then they probably
sounds like acquiring another Scott Lawton, by the way.
Right, and then they
as he drinks his coffee, like, come on, man, that's loaded.
I think Ross.
You know me. I think Scott. I like Scott Lawton,
but I think Roslovic's a better offensive.
But you hear the description of can play center, can play wing.
Yeah, but he scored 22 goals last year, and Scott Lawton's never done that.
I know.
But so there's Lawton. I've looked at the available free agents out there after Roslovic. I don't think they're going after Victor Olsson or Luke Cunnin might be a bottom 6 guy, but really. No, there's talk about them wanting to bring back Max Pacioretty, and I just wrote something for the Hockey News where if you look at it out there, there's maybe 4 or 5 options for Pacioretty, and I know Russ.
Listen, bring him back.
They'll be moving there right now, so he wants to say something. But for what they paid and for what he did, he was a great signing because he performed when they needed him to perform in the playoffs. He had 8 points in 11 games. If some of their better players had shown up at that time the way he did, they would have made a much deeper run. You put 2 and 2 together. I think Pacioretty wants to play in Detroit because he's from his family and everybody lives in Michigan, and it was tough on him because they didn't come to Toronto with him. But I don't think Detroit wants to sign Max Pacioretty. I don't know if Montreal, based on what our friend Corinne Hines said on one of the shows I do for the Hockey News, I don't think they want to bring him in. And the New York teams, I'm not sure that's a good fit. I think Toronto is the best fit for him. So I think there are still moves to be made, and that sort of corresponds with Robertson and them trading a guy like David Kampf, what I still think is going to happen because centers, there are not that many centers out there in the market, and once a few more drop off the board, they're probably, a guy like Kampf might get some interest.
Austin Matthews better be ready to play like 27 minutes a game this year because I'm telling you, there are going to be times in this game where they're going to be looking for some goals, and I think that top line's going to play a lot, Mike.
Well, no, I think Matthews is probably going to play 22, 23 minutes a night, and then Tavares is still going to play 18 or 19 minutes. He had 38 goals last year. That's everybody.
It's not like he had a bad year. I'm not.
No, but everybody out there is like, oh my God, they need a number 2 center so badly because John Tavares is 34 years old, and they're advocating for Nazem friggin' Kadri, who's the same fucking age. He's the same age as John Tavares.
What is it with Nazem Kadri that brings out the expletives in here, man? You just ramp up to turn it to 11.
Anthony, it's okay. It's idiotic. You're saying bring in Nazem Kadri to be your number 2 center when the guy you had as your number 2 center last year scored more goals, is the same age, and is a better overall player.
If Hockey Hot Stove wants to invest in something, please give us a Kadri meter so we could push that when Mike talks about Kadri, because it would be like the applause.
It'll be right up there with the Justin. It'll be right up there with the Justin Hole meter. Yeah. Keep going up there. What other meters do we have that have been Mike's?
It's like
whipping boys.
and to answer Randy's question quickly, but I think all these potential moves that they're going to make, if they sign Roslovic, is to keep Easton Cowan, or at least keep the expectations of Easton Cowan starting the year in the NHL.
And they should keep it. Yeah,
right. I think he could be a fit. I mean, I think he would probably be a fit on one of the wings on the top two lines, but I don't think they want to put that kind of pressure on him. They're doing everything they possibly can to keep that down. The chance.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing. Like, if they have to start the year even with the roster they have, better to do that if the kid's not ready. And then, hey, a month and a half into it, if he's killing it,
right,
then bring him up and you'll get him already hot. You know what I mean? That's a lot better that way.
Yeah, there'll be a lot of people going to Marley's games to see how he plays.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
All right. So, Mike, I was asked a question the other day by Boomer Gordon on Sirius.
Yes, Blake is very handsome and smart.
Who is going to make the playoffs first? The Buffalo Sabres or the New York Jets? And
the Jets. And no doubt in my mind.
No, but hold on. But when I answered it, I paused for a second. I'm like, this is a hard question.
It's not a hard question. It's a you went for a dramatic pause.
But I did eventually say the Jets, but it's close. But I said the Jets only because I feel like now they have at least a decent GM and what I perceive as a good coach. And those are things where, honestly, the Sabres, they're in question with that. So that was the reason why I did it. I don't know what your feeling is.
Well, first of all, you have Tyrod Taylor, which is like having the gold ticket in Willy Wonka.
Yeah.
He broke the Bills' long playoff drought. No, I mean, and I've said this, and unless something dramatically changes between July 27th and the beginning of training camp, the Buffalo Sabres are not a better team than they were at the end of last year. I mean, okay, they've traded J.J. Peterka. I think Kesselring is a okay defenseman. I don't think he's great, but they're going to play him in the top four alongside probably Owen Power. If they keep Byram, which there are some report, like David Pagnotta reported that Byram is at the top of the fourth period's trade list, and there's like 10 teams interested in him. I mean,
trade list has cobwebs already.
Right. But and that's the thing. If they could have traded him for what they were looking for, he would have been traded. But they didn't. They signed him to the 2-year deal, which I think that means they're going to end up walking him to unrestricted free agency, or they're going to trade him for what they don't want to trade him for, which is draft picks and prospects. So, okay, their defense is marginally better. And their goaltending is the same. You could say Alex Lyon is better than James Reimer, but okay. But Luukkonen is going to be starting probably 3/4 of their games, and their offense is not better. You lost J.J. Peterka, who was the left winger on your top line.
Mm-hmm.
I like Josh Doan. I think he's a good player. He's a third liner at best. So who's going to step? Is Zach Benson going to step up to he's fully capable of doing it, but the unknown
here. In the right role, he might.
Yeah, but I mean, okay, can you put him with Yuri Kulich and Tage Thompson and have that be a number one line? I don't know.
You're not going to know until you give it a ride.
Is Josh Norris going to stay healthy for more than 20 games?
I think we know the answer to that question.
Right, yeah. and that's so if that happens, then they move Thompson to center and Kulich is your number 2. And if you're moving Ryan McLeod up to your second line center, then that just shoots out. I mean, I'm saying they're not better than they were at the end of last year, and that's my problem here.
Even if they're 5 wins better, they're still
It is a little wild to me though that the center depth on the Sabres is not all that different than the center depth on the Philadelphia Flyers.
Yeah, but I think it's. I mean, okay. I don't know what Kulich is, but he did play very well when
Kulich played well. He did. He did better than I thought he would do at center,
and not a liability defensively. And he's good on faceoffs. But Thompson was signed and paid to be a center, and he had his 47 goals when he was at center. So now all of a sudden they've moved him to the wing because he started scoring.
I don't know if he's going to stay on the wing. Is he really going to stay on the wing?
I mean, Russ, the first move once Norris gets hurt, and I'm not, if Norris gets hurt, Thompson,
then he goes right back to
I'll say this though, sometimes, and I think about this with any kind of supersized forward that's 6'6". Mm-hmm. I do think they sometimes worry about those guys, especially in the face-off dot, and the long term. Like, for example, Roger McQueen, I'm going to be fascinated by and seeing how his things are going to go with him in Anaheim. But I always wonder sometimes when you get someone who's that tall, playing the center position. Even again, he's scoring a lot of goals, but in terms of like what's expected of a center in terms of the 200-foot game, Thompson, I'm not. He's solid. Don't get me wrong, but I do wonder. I've always wondered why that might have been the genesis of why the Sabres are like.
He just and he just got hot when they moved him to the wing because he had hurt his wrist or his hand,
right?
And he couldn't take faceoffs. And then he got red hot, and they said, "Why mess with it?" So they just kept him on the wing. But I think he could and should play center. And obviously, I think, like I said, I think the first move if Norris ever gets hurt is that, rather than calling up Hellenius or Ostlund from Rochester. The
sad part is Norris is good on faceoffs. He's 52.5%, but like he's got
your best ability is your availability, though.
So. Exactly.
But I mean, we have to be fair and say if Norris were to play a full season, this team's better.
Yeah. Oh no.
Yeah.
I mean,
I would completely agree with that. He's a productive player.
Yeah,
he's absolutely a productive player.
The whole reason he was traded by Ottawa is because they couldn't depend on him to be. I mean, he was best buddies with Brady Tkachuk. They were on the same line together. They worked well together. It's just he kept getting hurt. He keeps getting hurt. And, if he could stay healthy, I think then that trade makes more sense because I think top-end offensive ability, he's better than Dylan Cousins. But Dylan Cousins will be there. He's a workhorse.
Right. Yeah. The interesting thing is at the age of 26, the most games he's ever played is 66.
Yeah.
Not going to cut it.
Not going to cut it at all.
At least not from the point of view of being able to help a team with a playoff run. That's too many games missed, and those are games that are all if he's not there.
And that's that has been the difference with this team. Like when they lose Rasmus Dahlin for a week or two. And, like they missed the playoffs by a point. Now last year they missed it by 12 points. That's, you could say they lost and missed the playoffs because of that 13-game winless skid. I mean, if they would have had, 2 wins, 3 wins, they would have been more in the race. Yeah. I mean, they have to avoid that. They have to get better goaltending. They have to play better defensively, and they need to score more. Other than that, they're fine.
By the way, one of the most enjoyable things for me right now on Twitter, and I want to thank Bill Meltzer, is his rage towards Hockey Canada for not having rosters for the World Junior Summer Showcase, which I view as, we
got that. I got the text message preview on that. Mike sends a message wondering about it. Then Bill just goes off and he just moves around. He just decides to blast it on Twitter.
These are like practice games, and he is so mad. It's so funny. I love it.
Right. Okay. I texted somebody who's covering the showcase. Okay, the Swedish roster was out in early July. So was Team USA's roster. Finland came, I think, about a week ago. It's Friday, and Canada's roster is not out. What is this friggin'?
This shows you the level of importance of this showcase. It's a showcase.
It's ridiculous.
The level of anger for summer hockey, which essentially is what this is just warms my heart. It just does.
Okay. For certain people who have to meet certain writing quotas.
No, I get that.
Having the information of who's on the friggin' roster would be nice, folks. It would be nice. So Hockey Canada, get your head out of your ass and put the roster out.
Oh, you're never getting any invites now, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're not going to let me in the country.
Check your Nexus card tomorrow, Mike. All right. That's it. That's it for Off the Post. We'll catch everybody next time.
Take care, everybody.